There's something that's bugging me this whole time. It seems that no matter how much I try to run away from things, they keep coming back to drain my time, energy, and hard work. In my case, my half siblings are the problem that came back as a burden. You know how healthy families work. All the family members are supposed to be supportive of each other and lend a shoulder instead of hitting on the head. That was a metaphor, by the way. As far as I can deduce from my past experiences and from my life in general, it all boils down to my bloodline. I used to think that I was an adopted child. My ever so frustrated sadist stepmom always reminded me of that. She hated me more than anything. I guess fairy tales are always correct. Your stepmom and step siblings will never love you. They only remember you when they need something that only you could provide. I had no idea who my biological parents were. All I knew was that someone put me in a basket and left it by my father's doorstep. I had a very good bond with dad, so I'm not calling him stepdad or anything. No matter how many times I have interacted with him, I felt like he was my real father. I remember the date very well. It was January 29, 2011, a few days after my 10th birthday. My parents were screaming so loud that I could hear everything. During that fight, my stepmom accused my father of having an extramarital affair. After listening a bit more, I found out that I was a product of that affair. My birth mom was terminally ill and only had a month to live, so she passed my responsibilities onto my dad. I finally realized why my stepmother despised me so much. After that heated argument, my dad left the house and never came back. He died in a car crash. I wouldn't be surprised if my stepmom messed up with the brakes, but there wasn't any evidence of murder, so the investigators assumed that it was an accident. As I already mentioned, I had two half brothers who were really sweet and supportive as kids and treated me well. They would console me after my stepmom slapped me and hit me with a wooden ruler. Sometimes, to save me from her wrath, they would try to stop her and get scolded. So they secretly consoled me to avoid getting scolded. As we grew up, we grew apart. They were busy with assignments and projects, so they barely had time for themselves, let alone for me. When they turned 18, they got good job opportunities and moved to another city. I begged them to not leave me alone, but they did. I was left behind to rot with my stepmom in that prison of a house. My stepmom was mentally unstable. I never had any privacy after my half brothers left. She would find my diaries and beat me for providing an accurate description of her. I always hid them in good places, and somehow she discovered them. She found them all and read them out loud in front of me and then beat me for expressing my hatred towards her and calling her a monster. She always waited for all the pages to be filled up before discovering them. It was as if she was spying on me and waiting for the right moment. She found the diaries so entertaining that she never destroyed them. Whenever she was bored, she would reread them, get angry, and punish me. She was a sadist and got pleasure by abusing me. I didn't stop writing as I had no one to turn to and I needed to vent. My stepmom was an absolute monster. She is the worst, I'm telling you. One day, when she was away from home, I took the opportunity to search the house to find something that would help me escape. After minutes of searching here and there, I came across a notebook that contained a series of phone numbers. I found my uncle's name and number and contacted him. I couldn't tell him everything on the phone, but briefly told him why I needed to escape. My uncle understood what to do and was on his way to the house. He also instructed me to pack up a few things that were important to me and find those journals as well. Time was running around, so I packed my favorite toys, books, and journals in a box, and I also packed the music box my father gave me on my 10th birthday. My stepmom didn't destroy it because she didn't find it. I waited for my uncle to arrive. After an hour, he came to pick me up, and together we went to his house. The first thing my uncle did was to feed me and help me get comfortable. He saw all these cuts and bruises on my arms and legs and was devastated by the sight. I felt that he was controlling his anger in order not to frighten me. My uncle tricked her into revealing how she abused me, and she felt great pride in narrating everything. This whole time he was recording the call. Then he called the cops and had her arrested. Both the recording and the stack of 7 personal diaries were solid evidence against her. The court declared her guilty of abuse and put her behind bars. She was then transferred to the asylum. My uncle was very kind. He took the responsibility to raise me. He provided me with adequate medical care. We also went back to the old house to collect my stuff amongst other valuables and sold the rest. He sold the house as well. Things were going well, but I had a problem. I felt little to no emotions. There were barely any moments of joy, and I would have long episodes of intense sadness and rage. I also resorted to self-harm and harming others and feel guilty about it later. I refused to communicate with anyone because I got triggered easily and would shout back at them. I misbehaved with people and would deeply regret it later. One time I even hurt 2 or 3 kitties, and I deeply regret that. We went to a psychiatrist and I was diagnosed with BPD. I've been taking medication and therapy. My uncle never gave up on me and continued to help me. If it wasn't for him, I don't know what would happen to me. He also changed my school and made sure I was taken care of during his absence. He raised me well and taught me how to be a kind and responsible woman. Anyway, it's been 12 years and I'm okay now. Both me and my uncle are running the house, and we've been earning a pretty decent amount and recently renovated our house. A few days ago, we were celebrating my 22nd birthday, and it was really nice being surrounded by people who supported me, cherished me, and loved me the way I am. Everything was going well till 2 men came in unannounced. At first, I couldn't recognize them, but upon further interrogation, we found out that they were my half-brothers. They looked so different, in a bad way, that I couldn't recognize them. Apparently, their respective offices fired them, reasons unknown, 3 months ago, and they have been unemployed ever since. Their motives were very clear. They wanted us to give them some money. I was thinking, I'm sorry you left me in hell and practically forgot that I existed, and now you come crawling back to me because you are wrecked? Karma hit you that hard, huh? The kind person in me wanted to help them, while the darkness within me wanted to plot revenge. I was torn between 2 emotions and 2 different ideas. Eventually, I decided to aid them, but there was a catch. I would help them, but at the same time, I would retaliate against them. I made them do all the house chores. That included cleaning the chimney, the roof, as well as the septic tank. I may sound like a villain right now, but I cannot explain how satisfying it was. I paid more than they wanted for that because the kind person within me felt pity for them. God, it's very annoying to have 2 different things within me. I'm kind and repulsive at the same time, and it's exhausting. My uncle was concerned about me and convinced me to take therapy again. I don't know what I should do. Update 1. Hello all. Thank you for your support. It was great hearing from you. So my therapy sessions are still going on, and they're teaching me some exercises that would help me in the long run. They recently taught me something called mindfulness that would help me when I was overwhelmed. Anyway, my half-brothers are still working on our house and would often complain about being forced to do something they don't like. I made my conditions very clear from the beginning. If you want to stay at our house and earn, I refused to lend them money and asked them to earn it from me instead, then you have to do the work. They make many, understandable, mistakes, and so I have to fix them when I come home. They accidentally broke 2 of my statues. I'm an artist and sculptor, and I had to rejoin them and fill the cracks with bronze or other available metals. People find it aesthetic, and I find it artistic and therapeutic, so I profit a little more from these statues. I will never forgive them for what they have done to me, but I cannot be too cruel either. They have no idea that I'm searching for jobs that match their skills. I don't want them to know that their half-sister has gone soft. I have a reputation to uphold. As for the jobs, so far I haven't found anything. Wish me luck. Update 2. Hi everyone, it's been a week now and still no luck finding jobs for them. They also need a new house as they have sold their own. We cannot just let them stay with us forever, not after everything they've done to me. Me and my uncle have been discussing what to do. As for my half brothers, they have become used to the new routine. They've always been very arrogant and boastful, definitely like their mom. But now they have gone silent. They don't complain about anything anymore. They just do as they're told. I cannot look at them without feeling sorry for them. I may have been too harsh with the punishment. My uncle comforts me every time I blame myself, but we both know that this was a necessary evil that had to be done. I think they've suffered enough. My quota for revenge is over. I will never forgive them for abandoning me. But maybe I can give them another chance to be the brothers they never were. This is the bare minimum, but it's their only chance at redemption. Update 3. Hey everyone, it's been 3 weeks now. Thank you for all the help. My brothers have found new jobs. They're still staying with us till they can rent a new apartment. The tension has eased a bit. We're trying to get to know one another as human beings, and that's kind of a relief. I'm feeling much lighter now. Thank you for all the support. Love you. It was so nice to hear that you're doing good now. More power to you, girl. Honestly, I think your half brothers kind of deserved it. Either way, I'm happy that they got the chance to redeem themselves. Next story. I, 42, female, have 3 daughters, ages 11, twins, and 16. My ex-husband is no longer around to spoil them like he usually does. The divorce finalized exactly 1 year ago. Since then, he changed his number and has not even bothered to call our daughters. And I, as a nurse working long hours, are doing my best to provide for 3 girls. I'm still doing everything I can to find him because he hasn't been paying lately, and I've been very busy anyway. I asked the girls what they wanted for Christmas. My 11-year-olds wanted a Nintendo Switch with the latest Pokemon game, and my 16-year-old wants the iPad Pro with the pencil. I do the best I can for my daughters, but unfortunately, I have a limited budget, and I told them this. I told my daughter that it would be extremely difficult to get an iPad Pro, but I will do the best I can. At that point, it seemed like we came to an understanding. My intended budget for Christmas shopping was $500, and since I could not afford the iPad she wanted, I got her a Samsung tablet for $160, so I had to stretch it thin to make sure everyone got presents. Fast forward to Christmas Day, and when the girls opened their gifts, the twins were happy to get their Switch and 2 Pokemon games. My oldest, 16, threw a fit that it was not the iPad Pro that she wanted. I told her that I could not afford an $800 tablet, so I got her a very good brand tablet instead. She started yelling at me, calling me the worst mom ever and how she missed Dad. I told her that if she misses her father so much, call him, knowing that at this point, that phone number is disconnected. I told her that she needed to understand that her father was not around anymore, and I had to take care of her and her sisters on my own, and money was very scarce. I can only do so much. If this is the attitude I get for making sure she gets something for Christmas, I'll return the tablet. She's old enough to get a job anyway. My daughter burst into tears and ran to her room. We have not spoken much since the incident. The next day, I returned the tablet to the store, and that was the end of it. Despite my oldest acting like a complete spoiled brat on Christmas, I felt like I should have been more understanding of her situation as her father and I recently divorced, and it must have been harder for her and her sisters, especially since Dad disappeared. AITA? I struggled to choose, but I'm going to say NAH due to the background circumstances. You are feeling the stress of being a single parent with limited time and an extremely limited income. Your daughter feels abandoned by one parent and most likely sees your business and stress as you pulling away from her emotionally as well. Someone was almost guaranteed to snap at some point. Instead of calling either of you an AH, and you honestly both had AH moments in this situation, 16 for how ungrateful she was when you made it clear in advance you couldn't afford what she wanted and you for the crack about her calling her dad when you knew she couldn't. I just want to strongly advise you to seek professional counseling for your family. Was she being a bit of a brat? Yeah. But come on, she's 16. Her dad is AWOL. Her mom got her sisters exactly what they wanted for Christmas, but didn't get her what she wanted. She definitely overreacted. But your response wasn't to wait until things had calmed down to talk to your daughter, which would have been the mature and correct way to go. No, you decided to return it the very next day. You also, in some messed up part of your brain, thought that telling your daughter whose father had abandoned her to call him if she misses him so much? Great parenting. She's clearly going through a lot. I get that your ex left you with a lot on your plate here, but she's a teenager and her dad abandoned her. You definitely should have been more understanding. I'm not saying you had to have gotten her an iPad, but you seriously thought that returning her Christmas gift was the right move here? And why haven't you spoken to her about this yet? This happened over a month ago. Again, I feel for you and the situation your ex left you in, but your daughter is a child who is clearly acting out because her dad abandoned her. What are you doing to help her through this? Is she in therapy? Honestly, you both sound like you need therapy, and your other kids would probably benefit from it as well. YTA, I told her that if she misses her father so much, calls him knowing the number is disconnected. What the frick is that? Your daughter is going through some shit right now, and your response is to antagonize her? That's just cold. Next story. Hi, all. Sorry for the throwaway. All names are fake. So, I, 16 male, have realized in the past couple of years that I am what they call a glass child. My little sister Ellie, 12, female, was kind of a miracle baby who my parents had after a number of miscarriages. Ellie and I are both autistic, although she has much higher support needs than me, and she also has a mild physical disability, which means she needs help performing certain tasks as well. I understand that these things mean Ellie was always going to take up more of our parents' time than I do, but for most of her life, I have very much been a low priority for my parents. I play sports and do musical theater, but neither of them come to my matches or shows because Ellie doesn't like crowds. I've had my birthday parties, plans changed, cancelled to better suit what Ellie likes to do, stuff like that. Also, while my support needs are low, it doesn't mean they're non existent, and I don't always feel like they get met at home. Sometimes I feel like Ellie's wants get prioritized over my needs, and if I ever have a meltdown, my parents are less patient with me than they are when Ellie has them. On to what's happening. My theater club does this thing every year around awards season where we have our own mini awards show. It's mostly fun and a fundraising thing for the club, but they do it in a nice hotel and everyone gets all dressed up. Each member of the club gets 2 tickets for free, and then you can pay for additional ones if you want. I've given the free tickets to my parents in the past after they've promised to find a sitter for Ellie and come, but they've never actually made it because inevitably some issue with Ellie arises. This year I've chosen to give my tickets to my godfather Mike and his girlfriend Julie instead. Mike has been the person who has most consistently shown up for me, has always come to my games and shows, has taken me to do stuff when my birthday plans had to be cancelled, etc. And for the 3 years they've been dating, Julie has been the same. Mom and Dad are not pleased. They said I shouldn't have given the tickets to Mike and Julie because they aren't my parents. But I pointed out that if they wanted to come to the event, they could buy their tickets instead. They said they shouldn't have to, and I should be prioritizing them coming, and I got a bit huffy and said that every time I've given them tickets, they've pied me off for Ellie, and I just wanted to give them to somebody who actually cares enough about me to show up. That made Mom cry, and Dad got really cross with me and said that I was being selfish and that I know Ellie needs extra help, so it's not fair for me to take my frustrations out on her. They're basically saying that I'm a brat and selfish and an a-hole, and it's causing problems with Dad and Mike as well. So I'm starting to question if I did the right thing. NTA, your parents are crying because they are facing the consequences of their own actions. Please be aware that they are under an extraordinary amount of stress raising two children. I feel like they told themselves every performance and award they missed. We will go to the next one. There will always be another performance or award for us to attend. Well, now there isn't. You are almost all grown up, and your parents are being faced with the consequences for not attending more of your programs. You aren't taking your frustration out on Ellie. You shared your free tickets with someone dear to you. If your parents make the effort to attend, as you said, tickets are available to buy. You can give your tickets to whomever you want. Your parents are just hurt, and you should be sensitive to their feelings, but they are hurt because of their failing, not yours. NTA, I'm sorry for the dynamic in your household, and I hope it will be a wake up call for them. You deserve to have people show up for you, and sadly, they don't. I'm sure that was hard for them to hear, face, but I hope they take it in a positive direction as much as you can. Hold firm, but be gentle and kind as you can. Say repeatedly, if needed, that you love them and you would have loved for them to come, but that you've learned from prior experience they most likely would not. If they really care so strongly to be in attendance and not just be given free stuff, they will buy themselves tickets and show up. I greatly hope for all your sake that they'll do that. NTA, your parents aren't handling this well. I suspect that you're seeing the pent up frustration of realizing that their boy is almost grown up and they've missed a lot of your life. Seeing the tickets go to someone else just highlighted how bad the situation is for you and them. The fact that your parents won't spring for their own tickets really makes it clear that you made the right decision. Even if you'd offered the tickets to your parents, they probably wouldn't come. To your credit, you're handling this in a very mature way, and I think in time you'll come to see your parents as rather desperately trying to hold things together through a very difficult time, and perhaps forgiveness will come with that. That doesn't mitigate the neglect you're feeling right now, of course. But this is what severe medical problems and disabilities do to families, unfortunately. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.